Hello guys, I'm Alex, I'm an animator and a game developer. Actually, 3 years ago, I had zero experience in programming. Not only that it was something that I couldn't do, it felt like something I could never be able to learn to do. Today, I have a game on Steam called Don't Wake God. I have a demo for my second game also on Steam, and I'm working on the full version of this game, Wheelborn, which is an open world game. And yeah, I have this imposter syndrome sometimes, but I am a solo developer and I love coding. As a disclaimer, it's important to mention that I personally develop games as a hobby. And a lot of decisions that I make about what type of games to create, how to design them, comes from this desire to just do something I like. For me personally, it's not about sales. It's just about personal growth and enjoyment. So, since I was young, I was always the kid who draws. Apparently, I had a talent at drawing, but I was terrible at, most of the other things, like sports, math, physics, science, logical thinking. Many people, including my parents and also my teachers and friends, always told me that if you are good at art, it's totally fine that you are like stupid, not stupid, but it's totally fine that you are like bad at STEM. It's natural. But of course, it's totally wrong. And not only this thing with the two sides of the brain is proven to be wrong, but also programming can be very creative. In fact, it feels like a combination between like a superpower that can help you achieve like any idea that you have and puzzle solving and maybe detective work. On the other hand, art like drawing, sculpting, music, and design can be incredibly technical and devoid of creativity or personal expression. Just think about things like music theory or anatomy for drawing. So, for those of you who, like me, coming from artistic background, it's important to understand programming is a tool. Just like drawing, composing, design, modeling, or any other skill that an artist uses to achieve their ultimate goal, which is bringing creative idea to life, programming is just another tool. Now, it's important for you guys to understand also a little bit about me, like my background. I studied in an art school in the animation department. Then I worked in a studio that made commercials and promotional videos using animations. After that, I worked in the marketing department of a mobile game company, and now I work as an UI animator in a big mobile game company. But alongside this career path, there is another timeline. Since I was 15, I started experimenting with animation and video editing. Later, I started making YouTube videos and short films. This, of course, continued throughout art school, which for me was just an excuse to do what I love to do. And even after working as an adult, I made an independent 10-minute short stop-motion film. I did everything by myself in those projects, including the music, design, art, everything. So actually, if you think about it, I have two very important skills. And no, it's not making music or something like that. Those skills are the skill of teaching myself new skills and the skill of finishing projects, even when I hate them. And if you think about it, this kind of background translates really well into solo game development. I just didn't knew it back then. Let's talk about how I learned to code, which is a little bit different than another art-related skill. Or isn't it? For me, it's all started with visual scripting. 3 years ago at work, we have this scripting course that I had to take. And oh boy, how much I hated it at first. It was so hard. Not just hard, I felt like an idiot. My brain felt like it was melting. And somehow, all the other team members who did this course with me, who also were artists, but somehow each of them had some kind of experience or some kind of background with coding, maybe at school, maybe at some other point in their lives. And this experience took me back to the feeling I had when I was in school, like being constantly a disappointment to my parents. But suddenly, despite the difficulty, despite all those feelings, I found myself working with visual scripting after work at my free time. Why? What hooked me about visual scripting was this feeling of playfulness. It's something that I actually haven't felt since childhood, not even while making my own stop motion film. Just trying for the sake of trying, just experimenting without any judgment to myself, just experimenting and trying different new things. This happened when I tried to make my own things with it, not just the course exercises. Many people use tutorials incorrectly, which makes it feel like tutorials is a really bad way to learn. It's not. First, think of an idea. I had a really unique idea for a game. So my idea was, the player is a character in a dream of a sleeping person. If this person wakes up, the player dies, because they are the character within the dream. Therefore, the player needs to make sure the person keeps sleeping as long as possible. In the game, the dream world is like a circle, with the person that creates this dream at the center. This person walks from side to side, unaware that they are inside the dream. Occasionally, they dream of different things. Different objects appear inside this circle at certain intervals. There's two types of those objects. Regular, normal, everyday objects like washing machine, a table, or a bush. And there are surreal objects, like different monsters, creatures, and all kinds of weird things. If the person sees those strange things, a suspicion bar above their head begins to fill up. And if it fills completely, the dream ends, they wake up and the player dies. If the person looks at something normal, their suspicion bar will go down. The player actually needs to navigate within this dream and simply arrange the objects by pushing them. There is no single tutorial for this idea, right? In order to actually create this as my first game, I needed to analyze the idea and try to understand how it should be built. First of all, we have the character that moves with the keyboard keys from top-down view. Of course, you can find a tutorial that can help you implement that, but then you have the person. When the person walks, according to the idea, they stay in the center because they're the dream creator and the world of the dream moves around them. So the entire game, if you think about it, is one big moving platform. So now it's time to look for tutorials like how to create a random number in Unity, how to place the top-down character on a moving platform, how to create a moving platform, how to move things in Unity, and stuff like that. There's a lot of other challenges like the kind of vision that distinguishes between two types of objects. Maybe how to create the UI for this suspicion bar. The point is, think of something that you will be passionate about. After you have this idea, try to sit down with yourself and really analyze it. What does it require? Break it into small, very logical baby steps. And finally, use the internet, which is like all humanity knowledge in your pocket, and search those tutorials, those forums, look for these puzzle pieces to implement each of the baby steps. This way, you will understand what you're actually doing and why. And yes, of course, it will be a total mess. Your code will be a total mess, but it's okay. You're learning. It took me a year to finish my first game. It's a short game, so if I would remake it today, it would probably take me 2 months or so. But the process was filled with many attempts and experimentations, and nearly 70% of all the time was spent on fixing bugs. I spent months every day sitting in this mess spaghetti of visual scripting and trying to trace some hidden errors like a detective. I eventually uploaded my game to Steam. I learned how to navigate this Steamworks website, and I learned about game marketing, even though my game didn't get much exposure. But you see, guys, because I actually finished it, even though in the last months I hated this game, I learned a lot. You need to think about what you are doing in the present as something that you're doing for your future self. Like this game, Don't Wake God, it was my passion project. I really loved it at some point, but I wasn't thinking about it as my like life's work. It was just another step to get to the next step, which maybe will be my life's work, but probably not, because it's just a step to get even further. Okay, then, when the game was ready, I got a lot of feedback. Not a lot, because it wasn't like that popular or something, but I got some feedback from people online, I got some feedback from my friends, and feedback is very important, guys, because, you see, when your hair is messed up, all you need to do is look at the mirror, and then you can see it, you can see how you can fix your hair. But with your art, it's not that straightforward, right? So you need to emulate this mirror. You need to make sure you're aware of yourself. You need to know what went wrong and what went well. Otherwise, you can't really improve. So the feedback for Don't Wake God in general was that the art and the concept are well done, because this is something that I used to do, but everything related to gameplay turned out pretty rough. The game looked very unique, but it wasn't particularly fun, and the main simple mechanic, pushing, was, well, boring and clunky. I decided to make another game. A more ambitious one this time, and because the character movement was so terrible in my first game, I spent almost 3 months just making the movement of the main character feel fun and smooth for the player. Also, because of the feature creep in the previous game, I decided that in this game there will be relatively few features, but I would try to make them really well. And, of course, I decided to learn C#, like not only to translate from visual scripting to just writing code, but also understand the principles and the patterns and all the different things that help you organize your architecture. I wanted it because I had this like nightmarish experience with the spaghetti code, like literal spaghetti because of all these like lines. Just a disclaimer, I don't think visual scripting is bad or something. I prefer the way you can organize written code. Another super important thing, and it will be a little bit of a surprise for you guys, is to actually play games. You know, the truth is, I'm not much of a gamer. And actually, if I think about it, I'm 33 now, and the last time I actually played some game, like regularly, was when I was at school. How the hell can you make a good game without actually experiencing good games yourself? I literally had to force myself to spend an hour or two every day just trying out different games. I had to understand what I liked, what works for me, what doesn't. And now, after another whole year of development and improving my skills, the demo for my second game, Wheelborn, is finally out. Currently, I'm working on the full version of Wheelborn, which will be a little bit different from the demo. You can say that the demo is like a standalone small game, and the full version of Wheelborn will be a little bit different in terms of the plot and in terms of mechanics. Yes, it's an open world game about car-like creatures, and it will be released in January 26. And that's kind of it. I just wanted to make this video for all the people that, just like me, have this artistic background, have interesting ideas about maybe future games, but programming seems like this overwhelming thing that they're afraid of. And it's not true. Programming is just a tool. You can learn it. Yes, it's going to be hard, but remember, we are learning things through struggle. It can't be comfortable for you to learn new things because you know you don't know those things, and then you make yourself know those things. It's hard. But if you find yourself a good enough reason to push through the discomfort, you will succeed. That's it, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.